Let's bring in Hollywood divorce attorney David Glass for more on this. David?
People going through divorces are going through some of the hardest times of their lives, and a lot of what they're going through is emotional. And in any divorce, there's a huge sense of loss, and loss of relationship, of money, some friends.
David Glass here for another episode of The Hourglass, where family law and psychology intersect. I'm a certified family law specialist, former psychologist, and the author of Moving On, Redesigning Your Emotional, Financial, and Social Life After Divorce. Here to talk about anger management and domestic violence is Dr. Stephanie Haibloom. Dr. Haibloom is a licensed clinical psychologist and anger management certified fellow. She's a member of the California Association of Anger Management Providers and also a member of the Los Angeles County Psychological Association, where she currently serves as secretary for their board of directors. Her clients range from adolescents all the way up to seniors. Stephanie also works with many victims of domestic violence. We've asked her to be on the show today to talk mainly about anger issues and the holidays. Dr. Haibloom, welcome. Let's get right to it. So I know you're very involved in helping victims of domestic violence. What kinds of things should they be on the lookout for when it comes to signals that their ex might be getting into a situation where they're going to threaten them, or they're going to be violent, or they're going to be somehow emotionally abusive?
Okay, so survivors, which is what I tend to call them, of domestic violence, if they've already escaped the situation, like through divorce or just leaving in a shelter, whatever, already know what their particular ex's red flags are. Be wary of them, keep looking for them. Don't ignore them. Trust your intuition, trust your gut. If you feel the situation is unsafe and things might escalate, attempt to de-escalate the situation. If you cannot de-escalate it, find a way to leave and to keep yourself safe. Now, also, anger management and domestic violence get conflated a lot.
Yeah.
They're actually two very separate things, where domestic violence is really very little to do with anger and more to do with power over another person. It's more of control.
Yeah.
If you notice somebody gets another person and they're in a relationship and suddenly they don't see their friends as often or their family, and they are very much in that grip of the person they're in the relationship with. There's no going to a job, their finances may be cut off, which goes into domestic violence, not just being physically abused.
Yeah.
It can be sexual abuse, financial abuse, mental abuse, which is, the gaslighting, and emotional abuse. So keep on the lookout for those types of behaviors from the ex. If they're doing it again, get out of that situation.
Yeah, and it's, it's most likely that someone who has been abusive to you in whatever way is probably going to come back to that behavior.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They want their control back.
Right.
They want to pull you back in, and that will restart, if you allow it, that will restart the cycle of violence. You start at the honeymoon phase, everything is great, everything is beautiful, lots of gifts and presents, lots of love, in what they're now calling love bombing.
Right.
You get a lot of love bombing. Then suddenly you're kind of, I have to walk on eggshells. If I say the wrong thing, if I wear the wrong outfit, if they don't like the color of my hair, the way it's cut, whatever, that particular friend, they're going to be upset. They're going to explode. And eventually they explode. And you get abused. And then they go back to the I'm sorries, it will never happen again. I love you, you get love bombed, and it just continues.
Right.
So it's kind of up to, sadly, the survivor, the person who's being abused, to find a way that's safe to get out of that relationship. And a lot of times, safety plans are a good thing to have.
Right.
I say all the time for something like that, actually, having a safety plan. Something where you're putting money aside in an account your abuser knows nothing about.
Right.
Getting all of your important papers together. Getting clothes packed away, things that are important to you, secreted away where the abuser can't find it, and maybe at a friend or a relative's house who's not going to say anything to the abuser, a safe person. If you have a pet, finding a safe place for the pet. Because abusers, a lot of times, if you leave the pet behind, they will abuse the animal.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think now in California, in the women's shelters, they have started to allow women to bring their pets.
Yeah.
Because I remember working with Strength United before it was called Strength United. I was in my undergrad on their hotline, and a woman would not leave her abuser because he threatened to kill her dogs and she couldn't bring them at the time.
Right.
So now at least they're allowing that.
Yeah, the domestic violence code here in California a couple of years ago added custody of pets to the domestic violence code because the law finally caught up and recognized that pets is a big part of people's
And I'm
lives.
grateful that they did.
Yeah. On the anger management side, separate from the domestic violence, what can people do to mitigate their anger? If they recognize that they have an anger problem, what are some of the basics that they should be looking to do to change their own behavior?
To recognize their own triggers. So different things trigger different people. Some people, especially like, let's go into road rage. We live in LA. It's rampant. Some people get triggered because somebody makes a signal to go in front of them, like miraculously makes a signal and wants in front of them. Other people may get triggered because somebody took their parking spot. It's recognizing your triggers and being able to say to yourself, I'm being triggered. What am I really feeling before I'm feeling the anger? I'm feeling frustration. I sat here for 10 minutes waiting for that parking spot and you sniped it from me. And being able to take the deep breath and say, it's not worth it. I'll just drive around and find another one. And quite frankly, if you can afford it, my advice on that for the parking situation, because I do it, is if you go to a mall to go parking and go shopping, just use their valet. The $10 to $20 that you pay a valet is definitely worth your sanity around Christmas time.
as opposed to going up and down the rows.
And then finding somebody snipes your parking spot. Yes, it's absolutely worth it. So to find ways not to be triggered, to recognize you're being triggered, and not just what is triggering you, but the physical effects. The things such as your breath, if you're starting to get really angry, not almost out of control, but not quite into a rage, because rage is way different. It's things like your heart will start racing. Your breath will become shallow and ragged. Your body temperature will rise. You'll feel warm or hot. You will feel flushed. You will feel your muscles, your entire body may tense up. You start to feel one or more of these things, that's the time to take a deep cleansing breath in through the nose, slowly out through the mouth, not gulping our air, just slipping it slowly, and saying to yourself, I'm just going to count to 10, because that will defocus you off whatever is the focus right then and there of your anger. And try to go on about whatever your business is. If it's really that uncontrollable, I would suggest they go to find an anger management specialist. And I have resources for that at the end. And basically see one of us. We're not just there for people that are court ordered. I see people that are court ordered. I see people that say, I know I have a bad temper. How do I fix this? It's having that self-reflection and having that insight to say, I really don't want to become the Incredible Hulk every time something happens. How do I mitigate that? Let me go find someone to help me.
Sure. So what are some of those resources in terms of anger management for people who are looking to get help for themselves?
The biggest one, because it covers all of California now, is going to thecaamp.org, thecamp.org. And that's the California Association of Anger Management Providers. It has a list that's available to the public, broken down, I believe, by counties. And everybody that is on that list, myself included, are also vetted by the court. So if unfortunately your anger gets the best of you while you're shopping around Christmas and you get caught keying somebody's car and you're busted for it and you're in trouble and they're like, go to anger management, you can go to that website and you can find somebody in any county across California that can help you.
Great. And just thinking back to my dissertation, which is now 35 years ago, but I looked at the difference between court-ordered treatment for addictions versus people who went into addictions treatment themselves. And without getting into the 210 pages of nonsense that I put into this thing, the basic answer was that people who went in themselves, voluntarily went in, did better in treatment. Is there any sort of anecdotal information you have as to people who go into anger management on their own versus if they're court-ordered?
Interestingly enough, I actually had somebody that was court-ordered.
Right.
And they basically said to me, I've been through this like 4 times already. It's all BS. None of it works. I'm just here because the court sent me. Like a lot of loud eye rolling and cursing about it. And I said, well, with mine, you will do the work. I will make you do the exercises. This is my expectation. You're not going to waste your time, but you have to do the work.
Yeah.
They did the work. They actually came back and said that people they knew and worked with had seen a difference in them and wanted to know how they did it.
Yeah.
So I would say between court-ordered and wanting to make it, it really depends on the person. If you go in and you utterly don't want to, and the person you're seeing isn't going to say to you, look, you can make that change. You're capable of it. Yeah. You have to do the work.
Right.
But you are capable of it, and treats you like a human being that you're capable of it, not as somebody who's a criminal that got shoved through the system into this.
Yeah.
You have a better chance, I think, or at least just as good a chance as somebody who comes in off the streets and says, I have terrible anger and I want to fix it.
Great.
So it really lies, I think, more within the person and how they're treated, not just by the bigger system, the institutionalized one, but by us as part of that system. Treat them like a person, make them accountable, make them responsible, as opposed to, here's your workbook, I'll sign your paper, I don't care, I'm getting my money.
Sure.
I made them work for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How about resources for people who find themselves the victims of domestic violence?
I do actually have that one.
Good.
It is Strength. The one I know of for locally in LA is Strength United, and they have a 24/7 hotline for rape and domestic violence survivors. That number is 818-886-0453, and they have a second number, 661-253-0258. Nationally, because I know this goes on a website, and I was pointed out that we should have national, is 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-799-SAFE. That's the national domestic violence hotline. They're 24/7 as far as I know. And if Strength United is anything like when I worked for them before they changed the name, they're really good.
Yeah.
Everybody is a volunteer. I was a rape crisis advocate. So one day out of the week, you would go with the rape survivors when they had to go get tested, etc.
Yeah.
The other day that I would do it, you answered the phones for like 6 hours. And you were 24/7 on that.
Yeah.
They always have somebody there. We had a book, at least at that point in time, which was 2007, so a minute ago. The book, and I still have it, was like this thick. I have no idea how much thicker it is now or how they've given it to everybody to use, but I know the people there really do care, and they also will help the domestic violence survivors with group therapy, individualized therapy, and all the resources they would ever need.
That's great.
Yeah.
You've shared with us an enormous amount of very useful information. We're going to have cards up showing these numbers that you and places that you just listed us. I can't thank you enough for coming in and talking about these two similar but not completely related topics.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here and be of help.